Good morning and welcome to lecture 2 of programming. My name is Ed Rusu and this is C++. We are going to learn about data sets, data types. Okay, so we have the integer types, integer, character, and boolean. We have the integer and floating point. Types are called arithmetic types. Enumeration and classes are called user-defined types. Fundamental types, pointers, and references are called built-in types. It specifies a range of values a data set is supposed to be composed of. Each data type has its own data set. Okay. Integers consist of what? Whole numbers. Whole numbers as in positive and negative numbers. You have the floating point that's called the float that contains decimal numbers, and you have the double that contains the decimal numbers with what? Double precision. Okay, so it could be 15.8, 15.4, 10.1 or something. Okay. So you have a character. The character contains letters, numbers, symbols. For example, like age, school name, height. Yes, those are characters. And the boolean is what? True. The boolean also contains what? Two statements. You either be true or be false. You understand? Yeah. And a string is a combination of characters. So string contains numbers, symbols. Yes. That is what a string is called. Okay. Then data sizes. To specify the amount of memory in data that's allocated in a data type. Each data type has its own data size. Using size of keyword determines sizes of fundamental data types. Right. Integer uses 4 bytes. So these are the memory allocation for each data type. So we have integer uses 4 bytes. Floating point, that is the float, it uses 4 bytes. Double, that's the floating point, uses 8 bytes. Character uses 1 byte. And the boolean uses what? 1 byte. String uses 32 bytes because it contains a lot of characters. Characters. That's the letters, numbers, or something. Okay. So example of an integer is minus 6728078. You cannot write plus 0 or plus 78 for an integer, and also you cannot use a comma within an integer. Okay. So this is the example of an integer. So if you go on our code blocks, if I go on the code blocks, we could turn this up. So you could say int x is equal to 0. Sorry, it's equal to 0, or it's equal to 1. This is an example of what we call an integer in C++. Okay. Then representing floating point numbers. It has 3 types. You have the float and you have the double. Float is a single precision, that is, let's say 15.1. Then we have a double precision, that is, let's say 15.12 or 15.18 or anything. Yeah. We have the long double, that is what is a standard precision. It would be like 16.899994. Okay, that is what we call the long double precision. Here is the example of the float amount. That is the floats with the double precision. That is the 12.72. Okay. Then we have the double salary. That is the long double float. That is 125.213. Yeah. You get the picture. The boolean is used to express result of logical operation. Okay. And the expression for boolean is bool. B-O-O-O-L. It has 2 values, true and false. True represents 1 or yes. False represents 0 or no. Okay. Then, so as an illustration, we go to our code blocks. So when we go to the code blocks, we write, let's say, bool is raining. Sorry, it's raining. Because what? Let's say true. Okay. This is what we call a bool or a boolean. So a boolean is either true or false. Okay. So let's say if it's raining is true. So if This one is true. C out J. Run this. Yeah, there is an error here that we have to solve. Okay, there is a problem with this statement. Yeah, there is it. It's run perfectly fast. Okay, so now let's go back to the next slide. So the smallest integer data type. So you have each character is enclosed in single quotes. Some of the values belonging to char data types are a, small a, 0, asterisk, plus, $, n. A blank space is a character and is written with the quotes, with the space between the single quotes. Okay, so include iOS string using the string standard int. So you could say char gender. So let's go and bring this. Sorry, char gender. Because let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is an example of char. So single string types. Programmer defined types applied in what? Standard library. Sequence of 0 or more characters, enclosed in double quotation marks. Nor a string with no characters. Each character has relative position in string. Okay, so in a string, each character has what? A relative position. Also, a null is a string with no characters. So if you see a string with no character, that's what a null. Okay, so this is example of what? A string. So if you say a string name is equal to ama, okay? The string name is equal to ama, and let's say um, C out. Let's forget about it. Let's forget about it. I think it's fine. I just wanted to know. I just wanted to show you what string name, what type of strings we do. Okay. Yeah. So the void. A synchronous absence of information, synthetically a fundamental data type, can be used only as part of a more complicated type, mostly used in functions. Okay, so you can see here void x, void and r, void f, so void. So used to um, remove characters from a syntax. So it's mostly used in functions. So signed and unsigned, both are type of modifiers. Signed has both positive and negative values. Unsigned only represents non-negative values, 0 and positive values. Okay, so these are types of. This is a signed on types. So signed int x is equal to this. You understand? So unsigned on types also int x, then x is what equal to this figure here. These are unsigned on types, right? Then other fundamental types. We have the short, that is 2 bytes, long, that's 4 bytes, long, that's 8 bytes. Then composite types, we have pointers and we have arrays. The reference for types. The data structures and classes. Enumeration, that is representing specific sets of values. Remember, enumeration is user what defined. So it is used to declare what several names in a single declaration. The declaration uses comma for separation, mostly done for similar data types. Okay, so when we are declaring multiple names, like this is a comment in text. So we can say int x y is equal to so and so. I can go on and code the function, right? Let's see. Let's say int x y is equal to, let's say, 10. Okay, that will call declaring multiple names. Okay, so we have on the scope, we have a local scope, we have a global scope, we have the class scope, we have the namespace scope, we have the statement scope. Okay, this is a type of scope. So you can say int h slash forward slash what global scope. Then inside the int name, you place int h is what local scope. Okay, those are the visual representation of what scopes are. Declaration: identify name must be declared before being used in C++ program. It informs the compiler what kind of entity the identifier refers to. So char ch string is what s string s int count equal to 1, then constable const double pi is what equal to. So those are visual representation. Declaration char ch is okay, and the string s is pi. So initialization. Initialization determines what the initial value of an object can be used to modify value. So an initializer can use one of 4 syntactic styles. So you can use xal to bracket v, xa2 is equal to v, xa3 is equal to v, xe4 v. So initializer can use one of 4 syntactic styles. Any of this one is accepted. Remember, you know that the compiler makes sure what you follow the rules of what the programming language. Yeah, so all of this is accepted under the C++ program. So as you can see, initialization, you can see int age is 25. The child gender is what male. Okay. Yeah, so that is the end of lecture 2 on data sets and what data type. Thank you for the time.